Welcome, everyone. My name is Deb Bryant. I'm the Marketing Coordinator at AVATA, and I will be your host for today's webinar, How to Manage and Measure Analytics Centrally with Demand Lifecycle Management. This webinar is the first in our Name That Webinar series, which is the result of a survey that we conducted a few months ago. Overwhelmingly, webinars focused on demand planning rank at the top of the list of topics requested by those surveyed. Should you have any questions during the presentation, please feel free to submit them by clicking on the blue icon in the corner of your screen. Someone from our team will respond directly to you within a 24-hour period. Our agenda today includes a very brief introduction to AVATA for those of you that may not know us yet. And then we will dive directly into the Demand Lifecycle Management solution processes and key attributes. The bulk of this webinar will be an online demonstration of DLM. And now I'd like to introduce Dwayne Hardiker, one of the managing partners here at AVATA, who will offer a brief introduction. Dwayne, over to you.
Thanks, Deb. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I want to take a brief moment to give you a little background about AVATA. As many of you may already be aware, AVATA has been around for many years. We are a global firm with offices. We're headquartered in Colorado, but with offices throughout the United States, Europe, and Southeast Asia and Australia. Mainly within the supply chain management space, that is our DNA. That's kind of where we grew up, from implementations to specific solutions, industry-specific solutions to software solutions, management consulting, kind of that old school, pure business management consulting focused in the supply chain space. And of course, we have managed services, and then we do education and training that can be part of implementations or standalone as part of our management consulting. Everything we've done over the years, we've kind of built out around a very robust methodology and program management office that really focuses on the unforgotten, intangible areas of success within our services, and that is the change management components, the process components, integration architecture, and then of course we have the specific industry accelerators. From there, over the years, we've taken that supply chain acumen and evolved it into the evolution of Oracle's cloud supply chain solutions, and we've even extended our footprint. So while again at the tip of the spear is our supply chain management, we've extended into enterprise performance management and full-on ERP. So we can cover the entire manufacturing, order management, procurement, kind of the whole end-to-end. And then several years back, we also extended our capabilities and have been very successful in the J.D. Edwards practice. Again, end-to-end, from full financials all the way through manufacturing and distribution. What's really kind of made AVATA successful and sustained, for such a long time is kind of our AVATA advantage. And it's really our four pillars of success. That is our people, which has that combination of true business experience, as well as the software, the capabilities and the know-how, how to make the software work for the business, for the right processes. Our strategy, again, there's very few players that can truly be from strategy through execution. And then our customer focus, we will do whatever it takes to make our customers successful. That doesn't mean that there's not challenges along the way. There always are. But it's about partnering and making sure we're doing what's right for our customers. And of course, our solutions. With the amount of time and focus that we've been around, we've developed some very in-depth niche solutions for specific industries. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Josh, who's going to talk to you about a fantastic solution on Demand Lifecycle Management. Welcome, Josh.
I'm Joshua Briskin, and I've been working in the supply chain management arena with both processes and systems for going on about 20 years now, and I'm the functional design lead for the DLM product. Also joining us in a bit to run through some use cases in the application will be Ravi Chawla, who is the head of development for DLM. So what is DLM? Essentially, DLM is a product that centrally manages the effects on demand planning caused by life cycle changes in products, customers, and even locations, such as adding new ones or discontinuing existing ones. The processes supported in DLM include new product introduction, NPIs, phase-ins, phase-outs, end of life cycle, EOLs, and combinations of those, such that one can manage an entire PIPO effort in the application. DLM also provides the ability for users to simply create combinations with either no forecast or history, or one can assign some fixed value forecast and or history at the time they create the combination. We'll get into some more details as we proceed through this webinar, and then we will demonstrate some functionality through a couple of use cases. The currently released version of DLM supports Oracle's Demantra product, and the in-development version will bring the same capabilities to Oracle Demand Management Cloud. Let's talk about the supported domains and event types. Like I said, DLM supports multiple types of lifecycle events, NPI, EOL, PIPO, etc. But what I want to provide a bit more definition as to what are the events and what actually is an event. An event is like a robot or a little black box, or you might think of it like a macro. It is a small program that does work based upon the attributes or conditions a user defines for it. This might be make item A's forecast 0 starting 4 months from now, or it might be more complex, like put item A's forecast on new item B, but only 60% of it, and also reduce A's forecast and history by 35%, and keep doing this until B is in a steady state. So an event is really just a set of criteria defining how to move and treat data in the model. DLM has several predefined event types. These really act as guides for what is required as input to accomplish a DLM goal. So let's define these a little bit tighter. A combination creator, no source. This event type simply creates combinations. One also has the option to input a fixed history and or fixed forecast value. We can really think of this as seeding data into your model. A combination creator with source, this event creates a combination by copying history and or forecast values from a source combination or from multiple sources. This type essentially copies old to new, a classic chain. A phase-in with no source or sourceless creates combinations with the ability to enter a fixed history and or fixed forecast value, with the user able to spread or build up the initial forecast over several user-defined periods or percents. A phase-in with a source, this copies a source's history and forecast values to a new target set of combinations without affecting the source's history or forecast. In other words, we are using A to seed B, but at potentially different percentages of A's real volumes. This is phasing in with a classic chain. Now, a phase out is simply time-based phasing out of combinations with predefined or custom percentages by period. So we can, over some period of time, reduce the forecast volume to 0. Maybe we want to quit making this product available over a 3-month or 6-month period, ramping down the forecast. Phase out supports this. An EOL, or end of life cycle, is essentially a single period phase out of combinations to 0 for all dates at or forward of the EOL date. This basically says any population of combinations under this event will be dropped to a 0 forecast on the EOL date and for all periods past the EOL date. PIPO source cannibalization. What this allows us to do is phase in a new item, say B, based upon an old item, say A, where B is going to get some of A's old volume, but also cause A to sell less in the future. This event makes a new B, our target, look like A, our source, for history and forecast, but provides the ability to reduce the source's history and forecast by user-defined cannibalization rates. So we introduce B, and it causes A to sell less, so we forecast less of A. Also, one does not have to take A's volumes as they are. A user can set the amount A is cannibalized and can separately set the amount A contributes to B. This gives us the ability to say A will get cannibalized by B at 50%, but B will only sell at 85% of A's old volumes. Now, a PIPO EOL acts the same as a PIPO with cannibalization, but simply ends the life of A, our source. One can really think of this as B's launch causes A to quit selling at all. Now let's talk about the key attributes of DLM, both from a functional and technical standpoint. Obviously, we don't have time to deep dive on these, but I want to provide some guidance and context for the solution. These are some of the key functional aspects of DLM. The user interface is modern and uses familiar tools and buttons, making it easy for users to adopt quickly. No plugins necessary and no additional software needed, just your browser. Centralized management, one tool to manage all of your demand lifecycle processes. EOL in one place with phase in, phase out, etc., all in a single tool with a single set of user interaction points. No need to be hopping across multiple tools or systems. Chaining support. Although we have discussed the various supported event types, I just want to clarify DLM supports sources and targets with many-to-many, many-to-one, and one-to-many relationships. This means two sources could be combined to introduce a single new target, or a simple A to B, or even an A to a B and a C. DLM also supports having sources contributing to targets at different percentages than what the target is going to cannibalize on the source. This means A's forecast as copied to B might be 90%, while A gets cannibalized by 45%. DLM is also level agnostic. A DLM event can be created for any level existing in your current model, meaning these A's and B's we have been speaking of could be whole brands or product families. This allows a single event to accomplish things like introduce an entire existing product family to a customer who has never taken this product. No need to do one by one by one. You can work at aggregate levels. Also, events continue to process during the entire length of the event's working life. This means it is not one and done. So if a new combination or a new date appears under the population for which an event is defined in managing data, that new set of data will be accounted for, processed, and managed appropriately. A good example of this is an EOL. After you EOL an item, but are still in the period where it is selling, a new ship to buys it. Well, this creates a new combination. But because DLM looks for and processes all existing points in the population, this new combination will get an event-driven zero forecast. Now, this tool, allowing you to create combinations, can have significant impact on the model itself. So one thing DLM does is it tells you the counts of what you are asking an event to do. Say we launch all of product category A to Germany from Great Britain. The event will tell you it's about to create thousands of combinations, for example. This allows the user to sanity check themselves. Does this make sense to me? If not, stop. Another aspect of DLM, which is important for properly managing one's data, is its use of existing master data from the demand planning system. DLM's sole source for item, location, and level data is from the demand planning system. In the current version of DLM, this means your Demantra tables. Therefore, we are not creating new master data or using master data that is somehow out of sync. Now, to help with assessing and understanding what all is happening around your product life cycles and how they are being managed in DLM, we have provided some dashboarding features as well as analytical capabilities. This infrastructure is out of the box, but can be extended based upon the specific client's needs. This helps one leverage the data and efforts in DLM as a source for decision support. Also, DLM has an event manager where all of your DLM events are visible, searchable, sortable, and available for access. This lets you quickly get to all of your different DLM events that have been entered or that have already begun to do work or that have completed their tasks. Again, one tool, one place to execute DLM processes. Now let's look over some of the defining technological aspects of DLM. These are important because they show how easily DLM can be brought into your data center and how well it fits in with your existing IT product portfolio. DLM is designed around existing core tables. This means DLM survives upgrades and patching of the demand planning systems that are already in place. It also means DLM is nearly agnostic to the versions of those systems. This is not a tool requiring everything to be the latest of the latest. DLM gets all of its information from your existing model. The series or measures, levels, hierarchies, etc., all from the existing model. DLM also respects your current model by placing the DLM created values back into demand management in separate series or measures that can be placed into the data flow as you, the client, sees fit. DLM is quick to deploy, a short 1 to 2 week implementation cycle. This gets the tool into the hands of users quickly and economically. Also, DLM pulls your existing security settings from the current model. If a user named Bob can only see Division X in your demand planning tool, then he can only interact with Division X in DLM. No need to separately configure security. However, local to DLM users can be created in DLM, such that if business requirements dictate, there is the potential to purposely have a different security model, possibly DLM only users. And finally, DLM is 100% built in Oracle Apex. This means everything DLM needs is already in your data center as part of your Oracle database. No new tech stack to license, learn, or manage. Now let's get into the actual tool. My friend and colleague Ravi is going to run you through a couple of use cases. Ravi?
Thanks, Josh. Hi, folks. My name is Ravi Chawla, Development Lead for Demand Lifecycle Management application. I have over 20 years of experience in supply chain planning space overall, and I've worked along with Josh and our product development team members over a year to build this product. I will be walking you through various aspects of this product's functionality and overall look and feel of the application today. I would also like to demo the various features, functions that Josh talked about earlier in the presentation. This demo version for today's presentation is linked to Vision Demantra instance and 12.2.6 version. This application can work with pretty much any Demantra version. However, we have extensively tested this application with 12.2 versions and beyond. As explained earlier, the application gathers most of the information from Demantra, such as levels, hierarchies, series, measures, and even user information as well. You could potentially log in with your own Demantra user ID, making it very easy as a user management functions. It even translates the Demantra data security to the application. So let's jump on to the demo without any further delays. On the landing page, it provides one location for reviewing high-level metrics around NPI and related data. It also provides quick information for various events statuses as well. The event status graph on the right kind of provides the overall numbers of various events in different statuses. A quick overview of the status types here. An active event is defined as an approved event where the history and forecast information is actively transferred to the source and target combinations, and it's even exported to downstream supply planning and reporting systems as well. An approved event is almost an active event, however, the data hasn't been exported yet. Um, Events which are awaiting approvals are fully defined events awaiting management approval, so that their target and source combinations can flow into Demantra and acted upon. The entered events are newly defined events that the demand planner is still potentially working some what if scenarios on. In fact, DLM can act like a playground what if scenario tool for many discussions in various phase in, phase out, end of life scenarios for the demand consensus processes. Some of the events which are not on the screen are a deactivated event where the combination involved no longer is acted upon, or is potentially a discarded event which was never executed or cancelled. Um, and a complete event is an event which has reached its end date and is set to completed status from a systems perspective on itself. Looking into the Gantt chart here, it provides a crisp overview of the various events with their start and launch dates in the graph and even by statuses. You can also get more details on the events by clicking on the event itself, which pops up a window which provides a name, description, status, start and end date, launch date, what type of event it is, who created it, and when was it created. And you can edit into it to get into details, which we'll look in shortly. Further down in the landing page, you could see the key metrics section where you have these pie charts which provide an overall percentage of the DLM history or forecast compared to the total history of the forecast in the system, in the demand planning system. It provides a great dashboard to present as to what percentage of the forecast of history is within the NPI end of life processes. Um, and another view of this would be over month by month, and this provides a great overall historical and forecast volume comparison to DLM forecasts over month. So these bars kind of provide the total volumes which are in play in history in the forecast, and the line chart is providing the percentages month over month. Another view which you can look into is by the overall volumes which are in play by various statuses. Going up on the main screen, we have several jump options where the setup manager provides an intuitive user interface method to configure this application from various source demand planning systems, which is Demantra in the current version. It provides a wizard-based approach to import item, customer, and matrix level functions or hierarchy information. Of course, this is a one-time setup which the user would have to go through, and they can also import series and user management data as well. And it also has options management sections where you can tailor this application to your typical or even atypical requirements. So jumping back to the home here, the new event provides you a jumping point to get going and create a new event right away, and we'll demo this shortly. The event manager takes you to a tabulated list of events, and we'll review how the event manager features can now provide this information around that. Let's jump onto the event manager here. The functionality used here is native to Oracle Application Express and have extensive features that can be used to review event lists effectively at the header level. The user can search for events by any keyword, status, owners, or even by item, customer, and branch organization information as well. The user can use this view to create reports or for the events that should be viewed, worked, approved by the collaborating users who may or may not have access to the system directly. So they can download the report and export or email it out to them in various formats like PDF, Excel, etc. The view can also be used as a launching page to jump on various events which have been already created and edit them further or view them further. Um, an example of detailed search would be if we had an item which we wanted to look into and as to which other events it was involved in and at what level, we could simply type in the item here. And it'll show up a pop-up window which has all the details of this item as to which events it's involved in, what other levels which are involved in, which for the events itself. And so this provides a pretty detailed information on various events or items or combinations as to how they are involved in or are utilizing various events here. We're going to now look for various scenarios that we would like you to walk through so that the functionality of the DLM application can be explained in further detail. So jumping on back here in a minute for slides. These are the various demo business case scenarios which we'll be walking you through. And the first one here is the combo creator. And so let's go back to the application and jump right here in this. As you can see, the combo creator is pretty much creates the combos at any chosen aggregated level and is one and done approach without any source providing history. You could potentially enter fixed history and forecast amounts as required. This is the simplest scenario event type where combinations are built at an agnostic level approach where you choose the aggregated level where you want all the combinations to be created, and then you can further hone that by putting the target filters saying you only want certain items or certain elements to be created. For example, you could create combinations across a product family at an aggregated level, but for certain customers. Or you can create new combinations for a particular product family, and you can do all that in using the target filters. So let's see this in action. So this is the detailed event view where you have the event header information, where you enter the event code, just write the description, define a launch date when you want this event to be executed, um, and you'll see that rest of the fields, since based on the event type, are ineditable in this case. So, so that gives a good workflow-based approach where a user is actually given editing target fields so based on the event type they've selected. The next thing you do here is to choose the aggregation level, whereas we have chosen a product family and at the customer level and account, which are pretty aggregated choices. Once you've chosen the aggregated level, you would go and choose the target filter, where you can choose which product family you wanna choose and what items within that product family you would choose. You also have a choice of choosing all the customers or what accounts you would choose for creating the new combinations. Subsequently, you can go ahead and save and click on get combos. And this provides you various capabilities of how many new combinations would be created and how many existing combinations are already in there in the aggregation and the data selection you have chosen. At this point, and then you got to go ahead and process the event so that these combinations are created internally within the DLM application. And at this point, we are done with the data entry, and the event is awaiting for approval. Unless approved, the results of this events won't be exported out to the downstream demand planning systems. The user also have the opportunity to publish the event manually if they wanted to. So once you approve the event, um, so right now this event is actually awaiting for approval, and then once you approve it, so you can either, as we said before, we can either publish the event now, or you could let the nightly process, the scheduled process run, and it would publish the event to the Demantra application by creating the 158 new combinations we talked about. So just to summarize, we just created a one-time combination creator function which once approved will either run on demand or during the nightly process or create this 150 plus new combos, or you can do that right away. Now let's review the scenario 2, which is the phasing new combination with source history copy. So we go back to the event manager on the event details, right? And we're going to jump into the phasing with source. I'm going to go and edit that, quickly show you the slide which explains the basics of this. So in this case, what we're expecting is that we're going to get some new combinations on similar customers. So the background here is that we can potentially again choose any aggregated level, which in our case we'll go at the item and customer site level or group of customers, and we'll try to leverage a neat functionality, which is the existing customer functionality, where a new item would follow the same population of the customers that the chain source item has. So not only will consider this history and forecast for the source item customer combinations, but also leverage the um, customer portfolio itself too. This can be modeled customer specific as well. Like if you're introducing a new customer or a ship to or a site or even at an account level, you could say that a new customer or customer site would be similar to an existing customer or a source customer location for all the product portfolio itself too. So they can use the existing item functionality to choose all the items that are sold at that existing customer, along with this its history and forecast. So this would benefit in saving a lot of time in the choice of either the group of customers to choose from or chain to, or the items to chain group against. So let's jump onto the event again. the application. So here we've defined the name of the event, description, the type, the event type, which is in this case phase in a new combination, a set of new combination, and choosing from a source set of combinations. We got to define the launch date and what's the launch period, and that would automatically define the launch end date. And one thing to notice here is that we have chosen the existing locations only, right? So that, and we'll see the effect of this in a minute. So going and defining the level where we want to do this is at the item site level, so that we can define the overall contribution accordingly. And then we also choose the source filter as to which item and its customer combinations would be chosen as a source. So AS54999 is our source, and these are all the sites we've chosen, and then these are all the branch plants we have chosen as well, which you could also select in the filter. Going down and we choosing the target, like this is a new item which is being introduced in May of 18, and it basically inherits the same customers and same locations or same shift from or organizations as the source. Once we do that, once we get combo, once we run the get combo where it brings in all the new combinations, it basically showing that we already have the combinations created here. One second. And then it shows you the contribution percentages, which is shows you the source level here, and also the contributions. You can modify the contribution percentages, like right, this is a source item, the customers going to the same customer set. You can say, okay, I'm not going to choose 120% as contribution, but only 120, right? In this change, and you can save that, and you can process the event right away to kind of see what the effect is. Currently, this thing is configured based on 150%, right? And I'm going to show this, I'm going to explain this graph in a minute, but let me just go ahead and process the events. So these events are updated now. This black chart, the black bar here explains the difference between the past history on the left and the forecast on the right. The green line here kind of indicates the model chain target adjusted history override, and the red line in the future presents the target forecast override. The blue region, as you see here, indicates the launch period, which is defined by the start of the launch and end of the launch. The launch date start ensure the forecast is started to copy only at the launch start, not when this event is set up. The brown dotted line shows the source forecast in the past and in the future as well. And it shows how closely it's linked up here. This is only here we are anticipating 20% bump in the target combinations compared to the source. The user can do various what if scenarios by changing the contribution percentages to see what forecast or history chaining makes sense from that perspective. The contribution can be less than 100%, could be more than 100%, could be zero for certain combinations, could be any value they choose. And once they process the events, this would enable the target forecast override and the target history override to be processed. They can also choose whether they want to just chain the source history or forecast or both and send to the Demantra system by choosing the process flag. Once all of the events are approved, they can go in and publish that to Demantra after that. So just to summarize, we just created a new phase-in combination using source history, forecast, and also customer portfolio of these source combinations. This event will continue to work once approved through the event launch end date, which is on 2nd of July, and today is 23rd April. Um, it'll continue to copy the history and the forecast to the new combinations until then. No effect on the source combinations would be made since this is a phase-in event only with leveraging the source information. Now let's review the scenario 3, which is the end of life of a product family across all customers by a certain date. Let's go back to the event manager, and here's the event end of life of the desktops product family. I'm going to go edit and look at the details and quickly look at the slide. So here in this case, what we are saying is that we would be end of lifing a particular set of combinations and kind of zero out their history and forecast on a certain date. So we need to know the aggregation level, which is the product family in this case across all customers. Source filter so that we select the exact product family and the items which needs to go through end of life, and kind of look at the results. Let's go back in the application, and here's the end of life example. The description, the type is end of life, and here from a workflow perspective, we are specifically choosing what would be the phase out start date or the end of life date, which would be 6th August in this case. And then as talked about earlier, the aggregated level selector is the product family, and then the source filter. And see, there is no target filter in this case because there is no target as such. All we are doing is we are creating an end of life for the source combinations. And here it's the desktop product family, and within that these two products, and they are across all customers. Okay. And once you do that, it just shows up here, and it shows that there were 67 combinations which are affected in this action. And then as you can see, beginning 8th of August, right, we would be seeing the forecast, which is the source forecast, which is at this volume number for these combinations. It would go down to 0 beginning that week and would stay 0 throughout the horizon. So once you've reviewed this data and once you're happy with this, you can approve the event and publish the data to Demantra. To summarize, we have seen an end of life event of a product family, desktop, and certain products, and that would be zeroed out from a forecast and history perspective starting 8th of August. Now let's review the last scenario where we have a phase in and phase out combos in a single event type. So let me just go back to the event manager, and I'm going to find the event phase in phase out test, and I'm just going to jump into that and quickly show you the PowerPoint related to this. So in this event, we are phasing out the source combination over time, and we are phasing in the target combinations over time. And as you've seen, a phase in with source information event and end of life, this event kind of brings them together as one event. So we'll be entering data for what was required for phase in with source and the end of life details around. So let's jump onto the application again and see how this data is entered and maintained. So, so the event header information has the code and the description, the type of the event, which is phase in, phase out, and also the launch start date of the target combination and how many weeks is the launch period. And on the right, now we have enabled the end of life for the phase out start, and how many periods would that phase out or ramp down would continue. And then we choose the aggregation selector. the item at the site level, and then the source, we choose the item which is outgoing or we're gonna phase out or sunset, and choose the site which is of the customer which is outgoing, and then we will choose the target filter, which is the incoming new item and the customer combination, which could be the same customer or group of customers, based on the aggregation level and the filters we have chosen, right? And we go down and we look at the various combinations of the event details here. And there's some more new features available, which I'll review in a minute. But let's look at the results first, and then we'll get back to this one. So let me bring the slider to the right result point. Uh, and as you can see, the black bar kind of indicates the past history on the left and the forecast of the future information on the right. Um, let's focus on the target combinations to begin with. The blue region. So let me just take out the phase out at this point, and then I'm going to also check the. So now you would see the target combination in the blue region showing its launch, and how it gets ramped up here compared to the source forecast. And at the end of the launch period, it assumes 100% of the source forecast as we have defined. And we'll see that in a minute. Now let's focus on the phase out period. Right, I'm gonna. So this shows how the source forecast is going to ramp down, and the curves are user defined or system defined based for the phase out period. I'm going to enable these guys back again, so you can see the combined picture where you are seeing the phase in and then phase out in one screen, kind of showing you what graph it's going to follow. Um, so these phase in and phase out curves can either be left to a linear increasing or decreasing curve, which are system generated, or they can be user defined. Users can actually adjust these contribution percentages and how they would ramp in or ramp up or ramp out, and shape the demand curves accordingly. Let's see that example real quick. So if you look at this combination right here, um, the phase in auto calculation shows how it's going to phase in a linear fashion, but we have changed that to 50%. So we would need to kind of make the change. And let's say we want to make that 25% for first 3 periods and 50% later. So let's go back in, and for since this event is already approved, we will need to deactivate the event. And then we can go in and make the changes. So let's say we want to make these changes to 25. Sorry. For the first 3 periods. We change the save here. And then what we have to do is we have to process the event. And you can do this on the fly, or you can leave the nightly process to take care of it. And this kind of shows you that the first 3 periods are now ramping up at 25% of the source, and then 50%, and assuming the 100% volume as the source ramp down in this fashion. You can adjust the phase in periods or launch periods or phase out launch periods, and kind of gives you a great flexibility in defining how the ramp in and ramp out would occur. The next step to that would be to be able to approve the event and publish the Demantra. We'll demo that to you today, where in this example, we will show you the Demantra application before the approval and publish occurs and afterwards. So let's quickly go look at the before period here and jump onto the Demantra 12.6 application, which is linked to this, this tool. And as you can see, the new item has no forecast, any overrides which are put in place yet. And the outgoing combination right now has its forecast as laid out currently. So let's go ahead and publish this from the DLM application. So I'm going to first approve it, because I need to approve the event before I can publish it. And once I have approved it, I can go ahead and publish the event right now, or I could wait for the nightly process to process an approved event, which will eventually become active, as we have talked about various status in the beginning of the call. So I'm going to go ahead and publish the event. And this event is already published. So I can go back into Demantra and check this. So as you can see now, there's an override forecast which is ramping the source down, right? And in the destination now we have the target have the history already coming in, and we have the ramp up showing up from the launch start date. Although we are still in April, according to the system, it starts to generate the forecast and history for the target combinations from the launch dates which are specified. This concludes the demo for DLM. At the end, I'm hoping that you all have a good high-level preview of the application and its future firsthand today. If you'd like a deeper dive into the application, please request for a one-on-one demo where we can go into more details. Back to Josh for final thoughts before we conclude this webinar. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Robbie. Just a couple of final thoughts. DLM lets you create and manage all of your lifecycle efforts in a single tool. The application provides greater control of and visibility to impacts from lifecycle changes. And finally, DLM leverages your existing models, security, and infrastructure. So I hope this gave you a good introduction to DLM. Thank you, and I will turn it back over to our hosts.
Thank you, Josh. And thanks also to Dwayne and Robbie. On behalf of AVATA, we thank you all for joining us today, and we invite you to contact us if you would like to learn more. Send us an email, visit our website, or follow us on social media. For those of you who submitted questions, we will be reaching out to you soon. You can visit our website at www.avata.com/events to learn more about our upcoming webinars. Again, thank you for your time today, and enjoy the rest of your day.